Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Brandy.
Yep.
Hold on. Okay, how about now?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
How's everybody doing today?
Doing great. Thank you.
Good.
I must
Good.
say, Pete looks the happiest.
Because Peter's
Good to see your face.
All right, how are the holidays? Are we okay? Did we survive?
survival.
Yeah.
Hi, Susan.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thanks for joining.
Yeah, I finally remembered and made a specific effort.
Oh, thank you. That's nice.
Of course.
Is learner one of your strengths? I can't remember.
Oh, somewhere. It's probably not at the top.
Of course, but I don't think it's.
No, I
top
know.
five.
I don't remember either. I mean, I feel like it's something I gravitate to, but
All right, I have got the screen up here. The presentation is what I mean. Okay, so let's get going. We're talking about learners today. This is one of my top 5. It's my second strength, so I love talking about us learners.
okay.
So you guys can all see that learner is found in a person's top 5 strength capacity 28% of the time. So this is one of the most popular strengths. I'm assuming that most of you on the call have learner. Yes?
Yes.
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 Number
Okay.
1.
Awesome. So if you guys, if you think of something else that you want to share with the group because you have learner, please don't hesitate to stop me and say, hey, Brandy, I have something to add, and then just share, because I think these sessions are really valuable because we have multiple people sharing their perspective on learner with the group. Yes? Okay. So here are all of the Gallup leadership domains. Learner actually falls into the strategic thinking domain. And, we go to our learners because we learn from them. They're the ones that are out there teaching and consulting and presenting new materials so that we can all learn from them. It also falls in this work zone chart. It also falls into the second zone, which it says moderates. And you can think of this as it moderates, it collaborates, it facilitates. It really just gets people excited and involved and engaged about something new. So learners tend to gravitate towards new skill sets. Like once we master a skill set, we're trying to move on to the next thing to master. And what we do is we teach it to affirm our own learning. And then once we've taught it and said, okay, we've obviously got this down, then we want to move on to the next thing. But where we become really good is when there's a change in the company and there's a new tool being used and we want to learn the tool because we're learners and we want to start using it and mastering it. And then we want to show other people to affirm our own learning, which they then benefit from because they get to learn from the masters how to use this new tool. And so we can really help companies with the uptick or uptake of new tools. So here's the definition for a learner. Learners have a great desire to learn and continuously improve. They are always involved in continuous improvement initiatives. And then the process of learning rather than the outcome is the most exciting thing to them. So they're natural change catalysts for the organization. They enjoy practicing and mastering skills. They love knowledge and facts. They are your natural teachers, presenters, and consultants. And learning is important for them to stay at a company. If they're not getting to learn all the time, they get really disengaged and bored. If they're not learning in a relationship, they could become disengaged and bored. If they're not, learning in, I don't know, I can't think of another one, something else, then they're just not interested. Okay, they get bored. Learners, they work best on short-term projects like a 3-month project where they get to learn, they get to master it, and then they get to push it out the door. That's why they do go into consulting a lot of the time. A lot of people I know that are learners go into consulting because they get to learn, dig in, master the whole thing, make the recommendations, get other people to do the work and push it out the door. You'll also pick up on whether they're, who your learners are, because they're usually involved in adult learning, like lessons, classes, or getting a certification. They might be getting another degree. They just really enjoy that syllabus that says, here are all the things you need to go learn, and they get to knock all those off the list. I also see that they're great in the technology realm. You find a lot of learners there because there is so much to learn in technology, and it's always changing. Same with areas like regulations. Things were constantly are changing. You're always having to keep up with the newest inventions, with the newest technology, with the newest frameworks or thought processes. This is where the learners get really excited. Any questions about a learner or anything you guys want to add? Going, gone. Okay.
Validating that it's really true.
Yeah. Okay. So when learner also has a ranger in their top 5, they can be a little intensified because learners are continuously improving and the arrangers are also seeking out the perfect configurations to drive efficiencies. Both of them have an efficiency element to their personality. So does focus. So if you have a focused learner or someone that's learning about how to focus, you're going to have very, very streamlined processes and systems. Same with discipline. It's a highly efficiency-driven strength. So when you have learner and discipline together, like myself, then you end up creating whole systems for people to use, like strengthology insights. When you have learner and communication together in a person's top 5 strengths, you're going to have a master presenter because, communicators are great presenters. They love to talk to a crowd, and learners obviously love to present. So when you get the two of them together, then you've got, voila, a master presenter. Now, if you have context and learner in your top 5, if you have both of those two, then you're asking a lot of questions because you're asking a lot to learn, but you're also asking a lot to gain the context that you need to be able to move forward with that person or with that decision or that project. If you have learner and ideator both in your top 5, then you're obviously not only just exploring ideas and wanting to talk about ideas, but you're learning to love as well. And so you're going out there seeking new technologies, new ideas, and then just loving to learn, going to seminars and taking courses. And both of them are very experimental as well. So when you think about like the lean startup type methodology where it's all about, experiment and learn something from it and keep moving, ideators and learners are very, very good in those environments. Inputters love to gather and research information, and learners love to learn. So you can imagine if you are a learner and an inputter in your top 5, then you are intensified on those, as well as if you have intellection in your top 5 along with learner. And I have met people that have learner, input, and intellection, all 3 in their top 5, and they are very academic. They love, love, love to learn. Any other thoughts on intensifications? Do any of you have them?
Yes, those are my top 2, learner and input.
Learner and input are your top 2, Jill?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So it's really intensified. You're probably a mega researcher as well as someone who loves to learn new tools on top of that.
I work with someone who's a learner, input, and intellection in their top 5.
Yeah, they're really, really intense. Mm-hmm. Is that
she's going to school now.
Yeah. Okay, that makes complete sense. What is she going to school for?
Some kind of counseling.
Okay.
She wants to be some kind of marriage counselor, I believe.
Yeah. Interesting.
From IT to that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, from IT? Yeah. Okay. So the learner was the IT, right?
Well, totally. Well, no, she's in IT now and she's going to school to get a degree.
Yep.
To be a counselor. So
well, it makes sense.
I
I started out as a mathematician and ended up here. So, it works. Okay. So then we also have some information around the fact that learner is most often paired with the strength achiever. So many of you are also achievers in here as well as learners. That is a normal result. It happens 44% of the time. The least frequent combination is learner and command. Does anybody have learner command in here? My wonderful friend Annie Jo has that combination. So she is an anomaly, you know, because that only shows up 2% of the time. Okay. So I wanted to lay out some connectors for you because a lot of people are saying, well, if I'm a learner, then who am I going to get along well with? Well, these are the people you're going to get along well with. You're going to get along well with arrangers, focus, and discipline naturally because they also like to continuously improve. So you guys are going to have good discussions. You're going to come at it from different angles, but essentially you're all trying to create some efficiencies. Learners also enjoy communication people because communicators are communicating something and they are learning from them. And then communicators love to have a captive audience. And so if a learner is learning from them, then that's a win-win. Now, if communication is just talking about stuff that the learner doesn't care about, that doesn't work. But if the communicator is communicating something substantial and interesting, then the learner is just eating it up. Okay. Learners love to learn new things. Ideators are coming up with new and interesting ideas. Both love experimentation, so they're going to get along well. The input who require a lot of information. It doesn't look like I finished my sentence there. I will go fix that. But the input are the researchers. They ask a lot of questions, and learners also ask a lot of questions. So when they're in conversation with one another, they just have an interesting conversation, right? There's information exchange, there's teachings going on, and both are gaining from that. Same with intellects. Intellects are coming at it from a different perspective. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't update these from last week, but I will. The intellects are reading and they're learning and they're giving perspective. Learners are gaining from that and teaching the intellects. And so it's just a win-win-win for everybody. Same with learners. Learners like learners because we learn from one another. I spent a lot of time thinking about who learners do not get along with, and it's really rare for them to not get along with someone on this learner level because they learn from everybody. They just feel like they can learn something from everybody. However, because learners like to experiment and they like to take their time to learn, and they might have us like, not necessarily, they don't learn more slowly. They actually learn quite quickly, but they learn in depth, right? So if they're kind of going off and doing their own thing, then someone like command who's like, this is what I need done. This is what I need you to do. I need you to just stick to it and do this thing. They could have some conflict if the learner is kind of going off and, spending the time learning and teaching and presenting, and the command is like, that is not what needs to be done right now. We need to do this. And the learner is going to be like, well, I don't feel fed if I don't get to learn this. So I need to learn. Any other conflicts you learners have had with anybody that you want to make mention of? Okay.
Well, I have something. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What do you call it when you're working on a project, you're in the middle of a process and trying to get something done, and the person you're dealing with, and maybe, I don't know if it's a learner or not, but you're trying to progress, you've put some pieces of the puzzle together, you're trying to make it all work and communicate this, and their person has no interest and can't be bothered.
I would call them disengaged.
Okay. But if that's kind of their style to like not take care of their part, so is that all of a sudden I can't hear you. Sorry.
Can you guys hear me or not?
You were a little muffled. I can hear you now.
Okay, I'll just lean in.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. I was just saying, Susan, that person is simply disengaged. It has nothing to do with the strength per se, other than for whatever reason they are disengaged.
Okay. If that's the way they operate, then
just note that they're operating that way in this environment. That doesn't mean that's the way they operate holistically.
Okay. So you have to change your methods.
Well, you have to ask them why they're disengaged.
Okay.
Why they don't care. You do. You just have to say, look, it just seems like you don't really care about this. Just be disengaged. What's going on?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
but you also have to be ready for the response. So
Sure.
you need to think about what those things might be so that you're kind of
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so learners are not at their best when they're not getting to practice, when they don't get to master something, when they aren't learning enough, when they've reached competence. But as soon as they're not good at it, they want to move on. If they're not able to get certified or get a degree, if they're not challenged, if they're not expanding their knowledge, et cetera, all of these things are going to, make them feel a little irritable, less engaged, not interested. And they're ready to move on to the next thing. I felt like when I read this, that it was very freeing to me as a person, because I could never understand why I never just stuck on one thing and became the Olympian at it. I just had to move on to the next thing, and then I had to move on to the next thing. And there were varying degrees of how much I mastered those things. Where I really felt like I found my home was when I started training on martial arts, because martial arts is an endless, infinite canyon of knowledge and mastery at something. And I could spend my lifetime doing that, just like with strengths, and then after I did the martial arts is when I got into the strengths. I thought, oh, this is so similar to the martial arts, where, I'm never going to master those 33 million personality combinations. And so I'm always going to get to be, getting better at it and learning more and understanding more. And so to me, it was something that held my interest over the course of time. I think technology is very similar to that as well. What about you guys? Did you learners kind of feel a sense of revelation when you learned, oh, okay, I'm not crazy, I just don't like spending more than 3 months on a project, and then I need to move on? Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yes,
Yeah,
I do, for sure.
I do too. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm currently in program management right now, and I don't like it because it's the long term. Things take forever for processes to be completed, and we move forward, especially when we have to deal with the IT and development, that I prefer the short-term projects.
Yeah.
And I just had that discussion with my manager on Friday about, she wants me to think about what I'm interested in. I'm trying to figure out a way I can say, well, this is what I want to do without talking myself out of a job. Because I like the analysis and continuing to work on shorter projects, learning more about people, and not just the typical program management. We're going to make sure we're, things are running smoothly. It's boring as can be for me.
And one of the conversations I've had with manager before on this is, I like to go learn things and then bring them back into the team and teach the team about them, because then I get to kind of hit both of those, right? I get to go out there, learn something new. I get to come back in and teach it and be the consultant for that, but I also get to help the team improve and implement best practices. So that was kind of like the win-win-win that a manager can't really say no to that, right? They're like, oh no, don't go out there and learn stuff and bring it back to the team, Okay, so we're at our best when we when we're practicing and mastering things, when we're learning a lot, we're seeing the improvements. We love to be in the middle of a pilot. We get to pilot something new and learning new technology and regulations or a new discipline. We do love to present and teach to affirm our own learning. And then the opportunity to take courses or get certified or become the Scrum Master or whatever it is. We enjoy those opportunities and processes. So we should be looking out for them, especially ones that are aligned with, the opportunities that we're currently in. So when we are in environments that are saying, I need you to learn, and I need you to teach, and I need you to be the go-to person, we're going to hear things like, you present so well, you facilitate so well, you're so curious, you're enthusiastic, you're a great teacher, a great student, continuously improving and elevating the efficiencies of the team. You're keeping up intellectually, you're a change catalyst for us, et cetera, et cetera. When we're not in those environments, or we're trying to use our strength and the environment is just like rejecting it, we're going to hear things like, you just learn to learn. You're a know-it-all. You ask too many questions. You seem to get bored quickly. Why do you always feel the need to teach everyone? You always need to be learning something new. You don't give anyone else a chance to ask questions. You seem to lose interest in long-term projects. As soon as you learn something, you want to move on. I don't know about you guys, but I've heard every single one of these. And this is just when I was in an environment that needed me to be something I wasn't. What we like to be recognized for, and this is for those of you who have learners on your teams, we love to be recognized for our competence and our mastery of skill. We like to be recognized for our valuable consultation that we're bringing to the team and to the groups. We like to be recognized for our great presentation skills, for the fact that we are educated and certified and have degrees. We love it when people are saying, oh, go to, Brandy over there, she can teach you something, she can show you a new skill, she can show you how to use the technology. We like to be known for continuously improving ourselves. And what's another good one here? Oh yeah, and we like to be known for being multifaceted, being able to understand multiple sides of the business, because I don't know about y'all, but I wanted to be in marketing, and then I wanted to be in sales, and then I wanted to be in operations, and then I wanted to be in technology. And I mean, I just wanted to experience it all to really understand the business in totality. Okay, so when we are communicating, us learners, we show curiosity. We are enthusiastic. We ask a lot of questions. We listen to learn. We like to teach. You can pick up on a learner because we are always teaching something. We explain concepts. We like change. We like things that are changing, because it means we have to learn something new to catch up and catch on. So high change environments are good for us. I'm kind of a mix myself. I have the discipline and the consistency as well as the learner. So I have some times I love change, and then there are other areas I really don't like change. So just because someone's a learner doesn't mean all of these things are true 100%. It means you have to ask them how they sort of pan out for that particular learner. So when we're communicating with a learner, so if you're not a learner, but you're communicating with a learner, just know that they're going to appreciate learning something from you. So if you can teach them something new, that's fun. They might want to talk about the new regulations that are going on in the world. They love it when they get to teach you something. So there is an aspect of listening to them and just, humoring them by being engaged in whatever it is they're teaching you at that moment. And they're going to want to talk about how to master things. They're going to talk about emerging technology that's coming in the future. They're going to want to talk about classes and lessons and certifications and, the degrees that people have. They love intellectually stimulating conversations. When I find a good podcast that's actually teaching me something that I was craving to learn or hadn't known, that's great. If I'm taking a seminar where I'm getting to learn a new skill that's useful, it's really good. So these are the types of things that we're going to want to talk about in conversation. I just wanted to lay out some questions here. If you're just trying to get to know somebody or trying to get to engage them or do that little icebreaker, you can ask them, where do you teach? What do you teach? Who are you currently learning from? What do you like to teach? What lessons are you taking? What would you like to master next? What have you learned recently? All these types of questions are going to be the ones that their brains are going to turn on and respond to. Did I miss any questions that you guys like being asked? These are pretty good, right? Okay, so if you are...
Sorry, trying to get to the mute button there. Yeah, that was a great list.
Yeah, anything to add, Steve?
Oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah, okay. So if you want to be, let's say Steve there wants to be, sell and influence, he needs to put himself in a position to teach. He needs to share what he's learned with others. He needs to demo the product or service competently. He needs to provide the relevant knowledge and facts and provide clients with recommendations and advice, show the continuous improvement opportunities that someone could gain by the product or service, help his potential clients understand the need for a change, and explain any of the new emerging technology advancements of the product or service in a digestible way. You want to teach the potential client about the company actually, and then about their products and services, as well as, you know, any sort of tools that'll help improve their business. Explain how the product or service will allow the company to progress. Also ask questions to learn about the other person, their business, and the needs. And of course, inform potential client of any regulation changes they need to be aware of. These are all areas of competence for a learner that will help them sell or influence, you know, someone else. And then if you don't have learner, but you want to influence a learner, you know, this is a list of things you can do to engage them. So you can share your best practices with them. You can teach them something they didn't know. You can ask them questions so that they get to teach to you. You get to provide them with extensive knowledge and facts so they get to learn. Show them how the product or service enables them to improve, because of course that's something they're really keen on. Inform them of any regulation changes they need to be aware of, because they're going to want to know. Show them how they can get certified to learn how to use your product or service. Help them understand any new emerging technology aspects. Show them how your product or service will empower them to become a master of whatever trade they're involved in, or will help them become a better teacher, presenter, consultant. And, you know, they like to get deeper, so you don't have to be afraid to just do some sort of surface level high. You know, if you're dealing with the strategic person, you need to keep it high level, keep it the 3 bullets. But if you're dealing with a learner, they're going to want to know everything about your product and service. And then they're going to want to know about any seminars that they can attend to learn more about your product and service as well. So you can have those ready. If you are a learner and you're in a job transition phase of your life, there's ways to create some buy-in when you're trying to sell yourself, which is to teach others about yourself, share with others what you've learned, especially if it's something they're going to be able to leverage, like a skill set they'll be able to leverage in their department. Ask questions to learn about the other person and their business and needs, since you are naturally curious. You can also teach them about some of the relevant things that you've learned in an actual interview. You know, the other person will be, you know, pretty interested in what you have to teach. If they're interested in the topic, you kind of got to ascertain who's on the other side of that conversation. I don't know if any of you guys have done this, where you go into your learner mode and you're teaching them something and you realize they're like glassy eyed. They're like, yeah, I don't know anything about artificial intelligence and I don't want to know. And you're like, oh, sorry. So, you know, you do have to think about your audience. Discuss your desire to master a skill and how you go about achieving that. You know, this person is trying to get to know you and trying to get to know the way you think. So diving into that is great. You know, discussing the subject matter expertise you will bring to the team is important. You can share how you will elevate the entire team's skill set by having you on the team. And then, of course, bring up your accomplishments, degrees, certifications, and then provide examples of when you have been an effective change agent, you know, getting people onboarded to new things that are happening in the company, or getting people communicated to so they all know what's going on. Discuss what exactly you enjoy teaching, presenting, and consulting on. Talk about your technical and regulatory competencies, and of course, discuss your focus on continuous improvement and provide examples of how you've been able to help companies improve. These are all great ways to sell yourself to someone who doesn't know you at all. If you're trying to understand, like, am I dealing with a learner? One, you know that 30% of the world is learners, so there's a good chance. Two, just observe some things. Does the person seem to naturally teach? Does he or she always seem to be getting better at something? Are they involved in classes at night, or, you know, getting a degree? You know, or does he or she always seem to have a lesson to offer up to the conversation? These are good indicators that someone is a learner, which is important if we're trying to really understand how to connect with that person and work well with them. There are certain words. Oh, I'm going to fix it right now. I should say learner words. My OCD is kicking in. Learner words. So there's a couple of words that really, you know, sit well with people, and it has to do with their strengths. So if you're using these words when you're talking to these people, their brains automatically turn on. So it's really smart to just figure out what words to use when you're talking to somebody. And you know, this is some of my secret sauce, you guys. When I'm working with a client for the first time and I don't know them, but I've already picked up on what their strengths might be based on how they're interacting with me and what they're saying, I'll start using their words to kind of test it. And sometimes they'll be like, gosh, I don't know how you did it, but you seem to just know me in like 10 minutes. And I'm like, I'm kind of cheating. You know, I'm using your words. I just know engage your brain because of how you've been interacting with me. But that is how I need them to feel okay and safe and open and vulnerable to share with me what's really going on, because that's how we're actually going to solve the problems that are happening at that time. Okay. So for a learner, their learner words are learn, teach, consult, prove, educate, facilitate, you know, all the things we've been talking about so far. Before I go on to the next section, any thoughts? Questions? Opinions?
Oh, we got those opinions. No, this is great. Love this.
Brandy, I had a question. I have Learner top 10, not my top 5. Does Learner look different if it's a 10 than a 5?
Absolutely.
I tend to like to, I think I learn things, but I don't think I strategically go in there and try to like take a course or something. So I know I have it, but when I'm looking at all this, I'm like, no, I don't know if that's me. I know it is, because
that's exactly how you should feel when it's number 10.
Okay.
The people on here like Steve, it says number 1. Every single thing I'm saying is so true for him. It's above and beyond true for him. He's like, no, really, like this is the most important thing to me ever. Where for you, you're going, it's my number 10. Some of these bullets are really true. Some of them are not true at all. And some of them are kind of true. Make sense?
Yeah, and I have communication, arranger, all that stuff. I mean, those are my top 5. So I'm like, oh,
Right.
wait, hold on, where, you know, and so it's interesting. I mean, I do. And just as an example, we started a reading club that we're doing, and you could just tell how much he's enjoying.
Yeah.
The read, and I'm like, I read it, I know it, and it's almost like, it might not be not exactly what I want. It doesn't matter to him. He's just learning. You could tell all the aspect of the book. He loves what I'm trying to find and pick and choose.
Right. Whereas, for example, if the assignment was changed a little bit and I said, okay, Mariana, you are going to need to present this to an entire audience. Your brain all of a sudden turns on to a whole other mode of going and reading and learning that book in order to communicate to an entire audience exactly what you've read and what you learned from it. So that would be tapping into your communication, motivation, and drive rather than your learner, which is at number 10.
But yeah, I mean, just by what you said, you got me more interested. Just by saying it, I'm like, okay, what? I'm talking where? When?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. It just was weird to me. I was like, I'm looking at it going, but I know it's top 10, so I know that it is there.
Right.
I don't know that, I don't think it's 7 or 8 or anything like that.
Yeah, it's there. It's just there to a lesser degree.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so if you are a strong learner, which a lot of you here are on the call today, these are just some considerations. So you are highly engaged and love to learn so much that you may pursue many paths before settling on one. Okay, that's just a known fact for us. It is wise for you to consider paths that allow you to continuously learn a variety of options and skills over time. So instead of jumping around and doing all these different things and none of them coming together in the end, what is really great is if we just go, okay, look, I should be a consultant where I get to learn all kinds of things all the time. And that is part of my job to do that. That is just a, it's a path for us that is more rewarding. Now, not everybody's going to be a consultant, of course. So but for example, I talked to a CEO the other day who is also a learner, and, you know, being a CEO, you constantly are learning something, right? You just never have it all figured out. So stuff that just really charges us and challenges us to continuously learn all the time are the things that are better for us than things that are monotonous or, you know, have some sort of repetition to them. Learners tend to enjoy consulting because they get to work on short-term projects where they learn lots in a short amount of time. Learners also tend to be at their best when working with other experts. I don't know about you, but when I have been in departments and teams that were not full of experts, I was so bored. But when I was in teams and departments that just had all these experts around me with different disciplines, I was very, very engaged at those times in my career. Learners work best for leaders who they can learn a lot from. Not everyone is as eager as you to learn new things. Some especially do not enjoy learning for the sake of learning. My brother hates learning for the sake of learning. So if I go to him and say, hey, I've learned something new today, you want to learn something new? He's like, no, unless it is useful and meaningful to my strategic plan of what I'm trying to achieve right now, no. So I can't use my learner words with him. I can't say learn, 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 because he's like, no, no, no. But what I could say to him is, hey, I found this tool that's going to make your business more efficient. You want to check it out? He's going to say, absolutely. I do want to look at that. Let's look right now. We also, as learners, may always want to teach and present and not allow others to do that. But we do need to realize that, you know, giving others the opportunity to teach is great. And what we have to offer is to help them become good presenters, good teachers, and consultants. So we can take more of a coaching role, which hits onto our continuous improvement aspect of our personality when we get to coach. Others may have less tolerance for change than we do. We have to be very cognizant of that. They may need more time to practice and apply what they've learned before moving on to the next thing. We want to make sure that we don't hold everyone to our high expectations of learning. Other people around us could potentially feel inadequate if they're not learning as quickly as we are or don't have the desire to. Others may be just as strong as learners as we are, but they may not be interested in the same topics as we are. So in these situations, you know, we don't have to sit there and try to shove our interests onto them, impose them. Simply identify other people, right, that want to talk about that particular topic, or just switch topics with the person that you're talking to, since we can easily do that. Because we have such a strong desire to learn, in a group setting, we may be seen as a know-it-all, you know, overbearing, asking too many questions, trying to engage with the trainer. So a lot of times we have to ask our itching three and then just hold the rest for later till after the group has dispersed and we can go right up to the trainer and be like, okay, I have 10,000 questions for you. We are at our best when teaching. And so, you know, because we have a desire to make sure that everyone on the call is learning something, we need to consider that there are different learning styles. And the more that we can cater towards different learning styles or understand what the learning styles are of the particular group, Strengths Finder, wink, 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 right? CliftonStrengths will tell you that. Then it will be easier for us to teach in a way that, you know, sits well with the group and allows them to learn. Okay, as a learner, if we want to work well with others, we can proactively create environments where people can experiment and learn. We can learn about everyone on the team, so we know how to work well with them. We can encourage our teammates to get some certifications. Learning new skill sets that will benefit the team, and then we bring them into the team to teach them who else, you know, who the other people who want to learn. That's effective as a collaborator. We can share the topics and tools we've learned about with others on the team if they want to learn about it. And again, we need to be cognizant of who wants to learn what, how much, so that we're not overbearing and not, you know, imposing our learner style upon others. We can definitely be a change catalyst for the team. So whenever we need to use new tools or pilot something, we can be a part of those initiatives. We should practice and master collaboration skills to be more collaborative and to be effective at that. Of course, we want to be a part of continuous improvement initiatives. That's pretty natural for us to get involved in. We might want to help track the team's progress so that we can help recognize all of them for all the great stuff they're doing. And we may need to explain ourselves and help others understand our need to learn. Just like you were saying, Jill, like we just need to explain how we're wired to the people around us. That could be our teammates or our managers. And then, of course, helping the team keep up on emerging technologies and regulations would be really nice of us to do. Now, if you are partnering up with a learner, feel free to share new things you've learned with them. They love learning. Take a brief interest in the new things they have learned. They might want a captive audience for a minute while they affirm their own learning. Learn something new together. That's super fun for them. Encourage and support your partner to get certified in degrees. So if they're going back to school, you should be, helping support them in that instead of making their life miserable because they're going back to school. Appreciate what it takes for your partner to master something. Share educational experts, articles, books, podcasts. They need to be really good though. Don't just give them anything. That doesn't work. Discuss areas of improvement since they enjoy improving, both working on themselves and, in the partnership. Encourage them to learn, get educated, educate others, teach, present, consult. Those are great spaces for them. And especially if you can find places where they can do that type of stuff, if you run across them, just to tell them about it, because we love finding new places we can go do this at. And then understanding our need to learn a lot of different skills. I wrote down some of the strength partnerships for you all. I'll let you go through this on your own, but these are the various different strengths that learners might want to partner up with, and if they're trying to achieve something specific and they have these types of people on their teams. Relationships. So if you're a learner and you want to be successful in a relationship, it is great to listen and learn about your partner to learn how to best work with him or her. You can share anything you've learned that may contribute to the other person's life. Learn about the topics that your partner cares about so that you can be engaged and interested and have meaningful discussions with your partner. Asking questions about your partner's interest to gain deeper insights into your partner as well as what they care about is useful. Proactively go learn something that could help your partner, so let's say your partner is an entrepreneur pursuing a new initiative. If you go out there and learn some things about it and bring back some information or data or just something helpful, they'll really appreciate it. Enthusiastically embrace changes that are occurring within the relationship. There's always, us learners, we know that there's always something good that comes from change. So we can help everybody else embrace change. Learn, practice, and master relationship skills. Continuously self-improve. Introduce intellectually stimulating material to the relationship. Take courses that contribute skills to the partnership. Taking lessons and classes together could be really fun. If the other person wants to do that, of course, we can't impose our learner on someone else, even in a relationship, and then become the technical guru so we can contribute our technical skills within the relationship is helpful as well. Okay, how many of you are learner leaders in here? Nobody? Are we all multitasking, trying to find the mute button?
Everybody's a leader on this call.
Oh, is that what it is?
I'm a learner leader.
Okay, yeah, I know that several of you are. I know that several of you lead teams or directors, VPs, all that stuff. So in that position of leadership, you can encourage your teams to self-develop, help them learn, practice, and master leadership skill, or you can learn, practice, and master leadership skills. This is going to help you become a better leader. Bringing continuous improvement opportunities to the team will benefit them, especially when you're creating some efficiencies that are dragging them down. It allows them to free up to do other things. Locating resources that will help your team members succeed, right? We do have that ability to coach and help others develop, so we can go proactively get those resources and bring them in. leading teams that are always needing to learn something new. So this is all about positioning yourself to lead teams where a learner leader will be more successful. Okay, because not all of us as learner leaders are going to be successful in all leadership roles. We need to think about, like, for example, if you become a director of a learning training and development team, then you're going to be more successful there than if you're trying to lead a team that's not requiring so much continuous improvement.
And Brandy, I couldn't get to the mute button fast enough. Definitely agree with this and lead with learning for sure.
Yeah, Steve, what have you learned as a learner leader that's been really useful to you to lead your teams?
Well, and actually, as part of that, I have a few team members on here with me today.
Awesome.
Invited, so trying
Welcome.
to bring in the learning opportunities. Is great to have you,
There you
with
go.
our virtual offsites and just going by what's next. How do we dive deeper in to these strengths, but providing opportunities for the technical learning, providing opportunities of we learn different ways, and
Yes.
being able to explore that. So that's very important to me. We do
Right.
have.
And
yeah.
Steve is basically sharing us a combination strength. He's sharing with us learner plus individualization. And that is when, you understand how each individual ticks and is motivated and, gets excited and engaged about working so that their productivity is high. And so you guys just got to witness what it looks like to have someone who has learner and individualization combined in a person's top 5 strengths. Okay. We can also, as learner leaders, help others become good teachers, presenters, and consultants. And we could send them through certification courses. We can invite them to seminars like this, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Anything else anybody wants to add? Any of you learner leaders, any advice you're going to give to your fellow leaders?
The biggest challenge I've always had is just, as Steve was saying, it's just learning how other people learn. And that's even something personal that, my niece, when I was struggling with her daughter, that's what I'm trying to teach her. You have to understand how she wants to learn, not the way you want to learn, the way she wants to learn, and find out what turns around. Is she a visual learner? Does she prefer being in a corner with a book? How does she want to learn so you can help her best? And that was a struggle I always had with my staff, is asking them, okay, how do you want me to present this to you? Do you want me up on the whiteboard explaining it? Do you want me to just give you something to read? And having them tell me how they want to learn so I can help them better.
Yes. I think what's big is that she actually wants to learn that, because I had a father who seemed to really care about how I learned. And it was kind of this, you're going to learn this way. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And he got better over time. I'm just giving him crap here on the call. But that's really, really important. I mean, does someone want to learn through an audio book? Do they want to read a book? Do they want to listen to a podcast? Do they want to get it from newspapers? Do they want to get it from just talking to people? Most people do want to learn something, but you're right, they have a preferred way of how they want to do that. Some people want to just get in there and work and make mistakes so they learn from their mistakes. So it's really important for us to talk about that as we're leading other people. Okay, so if you're managing a learner, this is a new slide I added this week. Provide them with opportunities to gain new skills. Ask them to learn a new concept and teach it to the team. Provide them with opportunities to develop themselves. Provide them with opportunities to practice and master skills. Ask them to complete continuous improvement projects. Have them bring in best practices. Have them introduce a new tool to the team. Ask them to teach topics and lessons to the team. They're going to love these types of things. Ask them to introduce new technology to the team. Let them present and consult. Let them get trained and certified. These are all ways to keep your learner employee engaged. If you're like me and you are a coach, these are some of the things I've done with my learners to help coach them effectively. I do provide them with resources that they can learn from. I help surround them with some experts. So I will go find experts and then I'll shove them at them and say, here's some experts on the things we talked about. I'll find seminars and certifications for them to pursue in the direction that they're wanting to go. And we'll talk about the different types of careers, of course, technical careers, regulatory careers, consulting careers, things that might really interest them over time. I encourage them to get their certifications and degrees. And I also encourage them to spend some time learning just for enjoyment. I mean, they really enjoy learning. So it's important that it's not always about work and professional progress and improvement, but just, if we have some personal things we want to learn, that we should be able to do those as well. Let's see. Oh, and I do look for areas where they can present and consult and teach. I look for those specifically so that they can start to get to practice those things and get good at them, and that starts to become part of their daily actions. Any other tips for people who are coaching learners that you want to share? Okay. This is the list of actions that I think learners should try to take on a daily basis. So just pick one off the list and make sure you're focused on that for the day. If you're in a role where you don't get to do these things, then you might need to check that you're in the right role or with the right company or with the right manager. We don't want to spend too much time in an environment that's not conducive to our strength. There's not a lot of success that comes from that. Okay, I'm going to just sit back here for a minute and let you guys ask questions for the next 5 minutes. Questions, thoughts?
Well, one thing that it made me think about today is the fact that how my kids learn and how I help them learn. My 9-year-old has autism and he gets very fixated on a certain subject. He loves to learn via YouTube videos. He started learning about geography when he was about 4 years old on Kids Learning Tube. And the first day he came to me and said, did you know there's 13, there's this or that in this country, 13 territories or whatever else. And we were learning about Russia the other day, or Canada, and how many lakes they have. So all those type of things. He's always giving me something new to learn. So I started that on Facebook every day. I'm like, if my child is trying to teach me something every day, I thought it'd be fun if I pass that knowledge on to other people. But he learns by watching videos, but my other son's more hands-on.
Yeah.
And you have to help him along. And he asks a lot of questions. But so it's kind of interesting just to think about how each person is different. It's not just people you work with or who work under you, but it's also your children and learning how it.
Absolutely. Yep. I think that's awesome, Jill.
I think I would second that in the sense of children. I have a daughter that has learner in her top 5, and she's always striving and getting, and she'll be graduating this May and going to her master's and already thinking about PhDs and things like that. So
yes,
I daily seen that drive, and of course Steve's the same way. He has certifications for this and that, and if you were to see his office wall, he has his certifications there. Again, a little different than what I do. I mean, I like going to school, but again, it's just a different path. But just to see that drive in there and making sure you're encouraging all those things that you need to do to connect to a learner. I have 2, so I have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else have anything to share? Any epiphanies today? Was this helpful, or is there anything else that would be more helpful to you the next time that we meet to talk about a strength? Any perspective we're not looking at that you wish we would have today?
No, I like it. It helps us relate our strengths, not only to understand them better ourselves, but also how to relate them to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I understand more about how I use my strengths, I'll be able to relate that better to other people as well.
Yeah.
I think this is a fantastic format. I think briefly revisiting the balconies and basements, maybe at the end if there's enough time, just to where we are. Because all of the high level, right, is the
Yeah,
balconies here, right?
Yeah, let's do that really quick. So let me.
I was just thinking of other strengths, right? As we go through the just feedback for the coming week sessions, and thinking about, well, that's why I'm being perceived that way. You know?
So I kind of translated this in the tool, in my Strengthology Insights tool. By the way,
Yeah.
you all can have access to this. You just come in here and sign up and put your strengths in here. It's a $12 subscription per year, okay? But once you get in here, I basically took the balconies and basements and I kind of switched them around, but it's the success indicator tab here. And let's look at the learner.
Love that.
Yeah, let's look at the learner. So basically this says, look, when you are in an environment that's conducive to your strengths, then this is what you're going to hear. This is a balcony, right? This is when your strength is on. This is when you're flexing it, and it's when it's welcome, all at the same time. These are the things you're going to hear. But when you are in an environment that's not conducive to your strength, or you're flexing it, it's not welcome, these are the things you're going to hear over here. So to me, this is kind of similar to that balconies and basements sheet. I just kind of changed it up a bit to make it a little bit more useful. Yeah,
I think so. Also, I work with high school students, and we do a lot of which it's not the same as the raw and maturity. It's not that you don't use them, you just don't know it yet. So as you're learning your strength as well, it might just be raw. Yeah. And then you get to the maturity piece of it where you're like, oh, I get it now. And yeah, I mean, we all could be the know-it-all once when we don't understand what that strength is doing on the other side. So
that's right. And it's all about becoming self-aware first. And then it's like, okay, now how do I interact with others successfully? And then it's like, okay, now how do I lead, right? Lead effectively. And then it might even be like, now how do I make a huge impact across the world using my strength? So there's lots of different layers. I would say when you're becoming strength intelligent.
Okay. I have a comment.
Yes.
This has really been revitalizing for me. I feel like I've been in a coma. It's like, I don't know what's happened in the last few months. And I would say this definitely has a personal component that cannot be ignored, obviously, with anything outside the workplace, but I really needed this today. So, I miss you so much anyway. It doesn't even, you could be talking about napkins and how they're folded. I wouldn't care.
Thank you.
But yeah, all these, I mean, how can you do more than you've done? I mean, you have so much knowledge that you've shared and the way you've organized it all. And I do miss, it's when you don't have your learner base, the people you learn from, when that changes, I don't think you realize at the time what that does. Mm-hmm. And people come and go, and when they mostly go or they change and you don't have an opportunity to deal with them, maybe as you did the people that are no longer available, everybody's got their own style and their own availability, but this is something about actually bringing in it, gets back to what we need to do for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And not let it sit for 8 months of a year and just, kind of float along.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Self-development, but also sharing what we've learned with others, right?
Yeah. So I thank you.
You're very, very welcome. To everyone on the call, thank you so much for joining today. This is posted on YouTube. You just have to look up Strengthology Insights. We'll put the recording out there. I will put the slides out there on LinkedIn. You
Perfect.
Find them over on my profile. And if you want anything else for next week, which we're going to be talking about connectedness next week, it is a very difficult strength to spot in others and to understand it. So we're gonna take some time to understand that one next week. And if you have anything, any requests that you want for next week, just let me know and I'll add it. Otherwise, thank you, and reach out to me on LinkedIn or give me a call up if you have any other thoughts or questions.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you,
everybody. Have a good one. Have a great week.
Hey, before you leave, do you want me to talk to Jeff Morris about getting you on the Career DFW calendar?
I would love to.
Okay, I was talking to him this morning on another meeting, so I can just shoot him the information. That's the same link every week?
It's the same link every single week. That's correct.
Okay. I'll shoot it so he can put it on his career DFW calendar.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Pete.
I'll copy you on it.
Okay, sounds good.